Hi, welcome to Eco Cosmetics Lab. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about horsetail. So I was walking in my neighborhood the other day and came across this amazing patch of horsetail. So horsetail is a brilliant and ancient plant. Along with their cousin, the ferns, they were some of the first plants to evolve on land after the mosses and liverworts. Let's see what we can find in here. Hundreds of millions of years ago, in the time of the dinosaurs, horsetail was dominant on Earth and would grow over 100 feet tall. Due to its very deep root structure, able to draw minerals up from the ground, horsetail is a mineral-rich plant containing 35% silica. It's one of the few plants high in bioavailable silica, so drinking the tea helps repair and strengthen damaged connective tissue, mend broken bones, and it promotes strong hair and nail growth. Silica is needed by the body to build collagen, which strengthens connective tissues such as fascia, cartilage, and bones, as well as teeth, skin, and hair. It also helps build the lining of the gut and keeps the heart and arteries supple and strong. In addition, the tea nourishes and strengthens the kidneys and bladder by helping to lower the pH and clear urinary tract infections and dissolve urinary stones and deposits. So I wouldn't recommend harvesting them from here because it's near a busy road and it's a dumping ground for electronics and tires and kind of detritus, so there might be oil and it wouldn't be healthy to eat them from here, but it's good that they're growing here and rehabilitating and rejuvenating the land. So let's head into the lab and make a solid lotion bar, a bronzer, and a highlighter using horsetail butter. So the ingredients we'll be using today are 15% waxy emulsifier blend, and I'm using Olive M1000. 6% hard wax or wax blend, I'm using a blend of carnauba, rice bran, and cerebellina. 43% liquid oil, I'm using rice bran oil. 25% soft wax, and I'm going to be using cocoa butter, so that's really good. And the 10% butter material, I'm using the horsetail butter. 1% mixed tocopherol, because we have all the oils, we want to protect them from rancidity. So the first step is add our emulsifier, and I'm using Olive M1000. It's an EcoCert and great emulsifier developed from natural olive chemistry. It's an emulsifier and thickener which is compatible with a wide variety of cosmetic and active ingredients, safe and clinically tested to be hypoallergenic. So the next step is to add our wax blend, and you can just use one type of wax if that's all you have, the hard wax. I'm using a blend of carnauba, rice bran, and cerebellina because I want to have all the different properties from each of them. Next up, I'm adding the kokum butter, which is our soft wax, and so you want something with a melting point of around 60 degrees Celsius. Cocoa butter is really good in here too, but I had kokum butter to use up, so that's what I'm using. Next up, we're going to be adding our star ingredient, which is the horsetail butter. So you want something that melts around 45 to 50 degrees Celsius and is a softer butter. And then we'll use our liquid oil, and today I'm using rice bran wax because I had a whole bunch to use up, but you could use another oil of your choice. So now we want to be melting it and slowly melt it. You can use a double boiler, but I just prefer to use a super low temperature on the stove and keep an eye on it and keep stirring. And we want to bring it up to 85 degrees Celsius and make sure everything's nicely melted. So just keep an eye on it and keep stirring it sporadically. So give it a stir, it might start to harden on top a little bit. And once everything's melted, you want to be checking your temperature. And we're looking for around 85 degrees Celsius. So there we go, and now we can take it off the heat. And so you'll want to add vitamin E mixed tocopherols, and it's different than the other vitamin E D alpha tocopherol, which is good for the skin. The vitamin E T50 tocopherol blend helps to protect the oils from rancidity. And since we're adding a lot of oils in this, we want to add it at the full amount. But also be careful, because if you add too much, it can promote rancidity, oxidization. So we'll be adding it at 1% today. So you'll want to add the vitamin E tocopherol, not vitamin E acetate. And for essential oils today, I really love this chamomile Maroc, but feel free to use whichever oil you choose. And for the vessel we're going to be pouring it into, there's this amazing hollow, it's like a lip balm tube, but I wanted to make a little highlighter, solid highlighter bar. So yeah, doesn't that look great? And I'm also going to use a mold. So for my shimmer product today, I'm using Metashine, which is an amazing microscopic glass flake substrate coated with iron oxide, and it produces beautiful golden shimmer effects. So I'll just do a little swatch here. So you can see the beautiful sparkle that gives. Or else you can use mica. So this is a fairy dust mica I have, so I'm just going to show the difference between the shimmer on each of them. So depending what application you want, depending what kind of shimmer, or you could even blend them. Today I'm just going to do the Metashine. So once we've let that cool to 70 degrees, we're going to add our 1% vitamin E mixed tocopherols. And I find it's kind of sticky, so it was hard to add it with the dropper. So I ended up just pouring a little bit in. But yeah, make sure you don't put too much in, because if you put too much, it can actually increase the oxidation. But we just want to add a little bit of that so to prolong the shelf life of our oils. And then give that a stir. And now I'm adding the essential oil. And you can use one or a blend, whichever you want. And now comes the Metashine. So yeah, like I said, you could add micas or whichever you want to add shimmer. Or don't add this at all if you just want a plain moisturizing bar. And stir that up, and look how beautiful it looks. Nice and shimmery, and it provides a subtle, it's not like glitter or anything that's adding huge flakes, it's just like a really nice subtle golden shimmer from the micronized glass particles coated with iron oxide. Yeah, look at that beautiful shimmer. So give that a good stir, and you want to make sure it's not cooling down too much, because it'll start to solidify. And get your vessels ready. So I'm going to pour a little bit into the amazing shiny lip balm container, just for a travel one. And be careful how you pour that in. And then move it aside and let it set. So, and then I'm also doing a bar, so I'm going to use a mold. So we're going to pour that in, and then you can see how it's kind of, there's some of it's already starting to solidify a little bit, so we just want to get that poured as quickly as possible, and then you move it somewhere to set up that is, and don't disturb it. We don't want to put it in a fridge or anything because you don't want it to cool down too quickly because it sometimes can crystallize, so just let it cool down on your workspace or counter. And see some of the solidified stuff pushing into the center, so. But yeah, once it dries, you won't be able to see that. It'll just all be flat. Nice and smooth. And here's one I did before. So this didn't have any shimmer, this was just a lotion bar. But it's a mixture of, it's a balance between being soft enough to apply on the body, but not too soft that it just completely comes apart. So you can play with the ratios in your region depending on how hard and soft you want it. So for our second one, we're going to make a bronzing glow bar. So the ingredients are going to be more or less the same, except I'm going to use a different emulsifier this time, Bear Care PSC3, but you could use Olive M1000 again. And I'm going to use the same wax blend and rice bran oil again, and the soft wax will be kokum butter again, and we'll be using our horsetail butter, and then mixed tocopherol to keep it from going rancid. But this time we'll be using a bronze shimmer. So the step one is to add the emulsifier, and this is the Bear Care PSC3. Then we'll add our hard wax blend, but if you just have one hard wax, then that's fine. And the butter I'm going to be using is a Manoy, because I really love the smell of the gardenia and coconut oil. And then there's our kokum butter. So you want something that melts around 60 degrees Celsius. And then here's our horsetail butter. And I'm adding today just 1% of a flower wax. But yeah, feel free to not add that. I had some, so I thought I'd try using it. And then we have our liquid oil. So I'm using rice bran because I have a bunch to go through, but you can use whichever oil you want. So now we heat carefully on a low heat until 85 degrees Celsius. And you want to keep stirring that. So just, yeah, make sure, don't just walk away from it. Like if you put it right on the burner, it's okay, but just keep it on a low heat and keep an eye on it. And then once it's all melted, you want to check the temperature. And so, yeah, get to around 85 degrees Celsius and take it off the heat. And then we'll want to wait to remove from heat and allow to cool to 70 degrees Celsius. Because if you add your essential oils now, they'll volatilize off. And so this time I was adding some different essential oils. I added a vanilla blend and some chamomile. And so you want to stir to incorporate that nicely. And now we get our bronzer. So this is just a mica, and I added way too much. I was kind of just wilding out here with the mica. So yeah, you want to be careful. And I didn't stir it properly, so yeah, don't. The first time it worked better with the highlighter, so follow that one instead. But yeah, this one I didn't measure it, I just sort of added a giant amount in, and so it was a little bit too much, and I didn't stir it properly, so it kind of clumped. So you have to be careful when you're adding it to not have big clumps or get rid of the clumps. And yeah, if you add too much, there'll kind of be pockets of mica. So I mean, the bar worked out, but it was just, the mica distribution wasn't ideal for this one. So, but it was my first time doing it and I didn't know. But yeah, I should have actually blended it better. So you can kind of see how there's little pockets still of it. But anyways, I was pouring it out into this container. And you want to fill it up, and there might be some cavitation, which means that the middle kind of sinks down, but this one seemed to be okay. But once it dries, it can cavitate because of the heat. And then, yeah, pour it into your mold as well. But yeah, you see there how there's little bits of it, so it was kind of, when you apply it afterwards, there'll be like pockets of mica, which, I mean, it's fine, you just have to buff it out with your hand. And so here we go. This is the dried version of it. This is the next day. But I had it next to, this is a few days later, but I had it next to the other bar, so you can see there was like transfer from them. And then you see the streaks there. That's what happens, yeah, if you don't have it fully blended in your, but in the formula. But it, yeah, it looks really nice. Like it gives like a nice bronzing effect to the skin and moisture. And so it's like, it's really nicely hydrated and bronzed. So also while I was walking in my neighborhood, I came across this Washed Ashore art exhibit at Metrotown. So the Washed Ashore's mission is to build and exhibit aesthetically powerful art to educate a global audience about plastic pollution in the ocean and waterways, and to spark positive changes in consumer habits. Washed Ashore's volunteers have gathered over 60,000 pounds of debris. Beach cleanups and the sculptures created from the debris are designed to inspire change. The elaborate sculptures represent the marine life affected by plastic pollution. They are made entirely of debris found washed up on our beaches. Their artwork is centered on plastic pollution education and its impact on sea life. Their programs mix art and science and aim to encourage recycling and promote awareness.